did all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And for me to go to work,
Mm-hmm.
and I liked my little car. Oh, I kept it for 2-3 years.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
So he was a mechanic in Lafayette?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, what did working and driving to work mean to you as a woman growing up and living in Rain? Did it mean freedom? You had your own money, you had your car.
Had my own money. That was the thing.
And did your money contribute to the family income, or was your money yours to do whatever you liked?
Oh no, I contributed.
You contributed. And it was definitely freedom, would you say? Okay. What lessons and values did you learn from your job at Mervyn Con? Can you think of any?
Now say that again. I'm kind of mixed here.
Lessons or values that are instilled in you today that you learned from your experiences at Mervyn Con?
You know, I've learned, it taught me to keep my mouth shut a lot of times. You know? That was number one.
To pick your battles.
Pick your battles. And you don't have to agree with anyone, to be one of them. You just have to listen to them.
Right.
And that I've learned to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all right if you don't like what they like or vice versa. Everybody has their own.
Okay. So after Mervyn Con, you retired, or did you have another job after that?
No, I wasn't feeling good. And I quit.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a cousin that had a furniture store. And I had helped her. First she had a dime store. I had helped her, before I had started working at Mervyn Cons too.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, one day I met her in the grocery store. She says, "You off?" I said, "No, I quit for a while. I'm tired."
Mm-hmm.
She says, "Oh, I'm opening a furniture store." She says, "Why don't you come help me?" Well, I stayed there almost a year going helping her, till finally I said, But I had no children.
Mm-hmm.
My husband was gone all the time. And I said, maybe I want to go to beauty school. I went to beauty school, was a beautician for 3 or 4 years.
Oh, wow.
I worked. I never had children, and I just worked.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't stay home and do nothing.
Right. Okay. And you think your employment at Mervyn Con gave you the courage to do so? And you said, well, if I can work here, I can do this.
I can do that. Yep, that's
wow.
exactly. If I can do this, I can do that. I sure can.
Oh, great. How many women you say worked there? Was it like half women, half men?
Oh no. It was 7, 8 women and maybe 5 or 6 men at the time, Then when there was, now I'm forgetting though the men in the hardware, there were 4 or 5, those were just men.
Mm-hmm.
And in the men's department, they had women in there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember, I can't tell you how many, but they had 3 or 4 at all times.
And I heard, like at the Hyman store in Lafayette, that they had black sales people to work with the black customers. Was that like that at Mervyn Con, or was it too small for that?
No. It was. I don't know if it was too small or that, but it didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you cultivate friendship, you
Mhm.
know, by being a clerk. They depend on you, and if you help them, next time they're gonna ask for you.
Right.
You know,
And it
next.
didn't matter what color.
Because I remember one time we were having a sale, and there was a couple of people waiting for me, and Mr. Jankow told me, he said, "Bye," he says, "the people needs to be waited on." I said, "Yes, sir, but I have this customer. Well, have one of your girls." And I said, "They're waiting for me. I can't say, you know, I can't say, well, let them wait on me,
Mhm.
you know."
Do you remember any instances of like shoplifters or any
Oh, yeah.
instances they had a lot of shoplifters?
Well, I won't say there's a lot,
Mhm.
but yeah, and you get to the point where, you know, when after it has happened 2 or 3 times, you know what to expect. If
Right.
there's something you can do, or you know.
You know what to look for.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So, how often did you interact with management? Like, how often did Mr. Jankow want to talk to you, or did you see him daily?
Oh, I saw him daily.
Daily. But not the cons, though.
Well, they were old by then.
Okay.
Now, Mr. Leo, he lived the longest, and he was very sick for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But I called him the older generation.
Right. And then we had heard one lady say that the cons like to run a tight ship. Would you say that's true? They were really strict about how the business ran.
Oh, it ran the way they wanted them
Mm-hmm.
to. Now, I've never heard any cruel people saying, you know,
Mm-hmm.
about them. In fact, like I told you, Mrs. Kahn, the old lady, the first Mrs. Kahn,
Mm-hmm.
would make sure that those people from the country, when they came to town, they ate. She'd cook for them.
Mm-hmm.
She'd cook for them. Make sure you eat before you leave.
Mm-hmm. Was that just the German country people, or?
No. My grandfather was one of them, and he
Oh.
wasn't German.
Mm-hmm.
My grandfather was one of them.
So they were very hospitable.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I thank Mr. Beelan for telling me that, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because you know, he told me that. He was like me. I said, well, I just didn't know all of that, you know, and I'm glad you told me.
Okay. What about during the holidays? Were there both Jewish and Christmas celebrations, or did they have Jewish decorations also?
I wouldn't say they had Jewish decoration. It was just plain everyday decoration.
Mm-hmm.
But they observed their Hanukkah day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the store closed.
Was it closed on the Sabbath?
Saturday.
Saturday?
The Saturday in the month of what? September, October, something like that.
Mm-hmm. So just 1 month a year they were closed on Saturdays?
Not a month, just one day, one Saturday.
Okay. One Saturday a month?
No. In the fall, it's either September or October.
Okay. What about when people were coming into town on Saturday nights? Did they?
Oh boy.
They stayed open now?
Oh boy, till 10 o'clock.
But they were closed during the day and then opened at night? Or they stayed open all day? Okay. Do you have a favorite memory at MermaidCon? Or anything that like stands out in your mind?
Like what?
maybe like a shoplifter that stood out in your mind, or a favorite customer? Did you have a favorite customer?
Well, I had several.
Several.
I had several.
Okay.
And that's what when I quit working, that's what I missed the most, was the people I waited on.
Mm-hmm. Did you stay good friends with those people that you helped at MermaidCon?
Oh, yeah, I'm still,
Still good friends?
those that are still alive.
Yeah. What about a least favorite thing? What was your least favorite thing at MermaidCon? Staying on your feet?
Probably, because we couldn't sit, you know.
Mm-hmm. How long were your shifts?
8 hours.
Oh my goodness. So you had to stay in for 8 hours? Did y'all get
Oh
little
no,
breaks?
but we walked. And honey, when we weren't waiting on a customer,
Mm-hmm.
we were cleaning shelves, arranging them piece goods, making displays. We did all of that.
Oh wow. Did y'all get little breaks or a lunch break?
Oh, we got a lunch. We were off an hour for lunch.
Okay. Alright. And you would say that the men and the women did distinct roles, like the men worked in hardware while the women worked in the lingerie, the pieceware?
Yeah.
Okay.
The only man that worked in a woman's place was Mr. Belin. He was the manager of the shoe department.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And he had just girls, you know.
But he was a manager.
He was the manager.
Okay. Were there any female managers?
I don't know if you'd say a manager would be the head of a department. Peggy was assistant manager
Mm-hmm.
to Mr. Jankawa. She was. I was just a buyer. Doris was just a buyer.
Okay. Were there both single and married women that worked there, or would
Mm-hmm.
so the married women wouldn't quit when they got married?
Mm-mm.
No.
Mm-mm. They only quit when they had children. And then when they were old enough to be left with someone, they'd come back.
They'd come back.
Mm-hmm.
Would any of them get fired or let go because they got pregnant?
I don't think so.
No. More or less, they needed to quit to rest and have a baby.
And have the baby.
Okay.
And some took care of their baby, and some their mother took care, or an aunt or something, you know.
Okay. Were there any black employees that you remember?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And what types of things did they do? The same thing as the white
Sure.
employees?
Same thing.
Okay.
I got to work one morning, and honey, the front of the store was full of blacks. Didn't know what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we knew, you know, but that's when they started, and then they had blacks. They had porters.
Mm-hmm.
They had 3 or 4 maids that were black.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a couple of the maids, they were able to place them in a department.
Mm-hmm.
And then they started hiring